قال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. All who you believe, decreed upon you is fasting as it was decreed it was before you, that you may become righteous. The Prophet ﷺ says, there has come to you Ramadan, a blessed month which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enjoined you to fast, during which the gates of heaven are open and the gates of hell are closed, and the rebellious devils are chained up. Indeed, there is a night which is better than 1,000 months, and whoever is deprived of its goodness is indeed deprived. Our honorable Professor Dr. Waleed Fekry Faris, dear President of Comorian in Malaysia, Brother Asad, respected guests, dear brother and sister, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome of the 2018 CSUM conference series. In a few days, we are welcoming the holy month of Ramadan. We are holding this spiritual talk today to prepare ourselves in welcoming Ramadan. In parallel with its core objective of the Comorian Student Union in Malaysia, this association has been created in 2001 for the first batch of 10 students arrived in Malaysia, specifically in this university, at the National Islamic University in Malaysia. The association today counts more than 100 students studying in different Malaysian universities. The objective of this association are to maintain the brotherhood and unity of the Comorian students in Malaysia and in Comoros as well. Second, accumulating and sharing the knowledge, experiences gained in different fields of sciences. Third, providing assistance for any Comorian student wishes to pursue his or her study in Malaysia. Fourth, to build and enhance good relationship with other Comorian student societies overseas. Fifth, enabling creativity among the students and providing them assistance in their studies whenever needed. Sixth, we organize program or activities which will serve the main objective of its neon, and it takes time to time. Finally, the association is concerned with the question of education, justice, and the rule of law, and to undertake any action which its judgment may contribute to the protection and preservation of these and other fundamental conditions for a well-ordered society. On behalf of the CSUM Executive Bureau and the whole society, we take this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Professor and our respected guests in this august session. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we will start our program with the recitation of the Holy Quran by our brother Ali Sayyid. فليتفضل مشكورا ومعجورا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداع إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون.
اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن العظيم واجعله لنا إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة. Thank you very much, Brother Ali Sayyid, for this beautiful recitation. And without further ado, now the time comes to welcome our Professor, Dr. Waleed Faris. But before I welcome him, I would like to go overview about our CV of our honorable guest. Actually, is my professor because he teach me, and starting his educational background, he has a bachelor in mechanical engineering, bachelor degree in the Zagzag University, Zagazig, Masr, and master in applied computational mechanics, master degree, and also in Zagazig University, and PhD in nonlinear dynamics, doctor of philosophy, Virginia Technology University. Apart from the different responsibility in the university level, which currently is chairman of the International Institute of Muslim Unity, is lecturing in the Department of Automotive, Kulliyah of Engineering, for different subjects such as acoustic and noise control, advanced vehicle dynamics, advanced vibration, aeroelasticity, automotive control system, and automotive styling methodologies. I also got the chance to take with him during my master the course of RTGS 6000, Value, Technology and Society. Prof. Waleed is the author of more than 80 journal articles published in renowned journals, author of book sections and books, and participated with research work in many conferences. One of the titles of his own books is The Introduction to Machine Element Design for Engineers. The second one is the first course in control systems. The third one is the fundamentals of fluid mechanics. His current research works constructing and validating an Islamic spiritual enhancement model for mental health and psychology stress. Second one is operations and quality management, and many more completed research works. Brothers and sisters, let's welcome our honorable professor, Dr. Waleed Faris, فليتفضل مشكورا ومأجورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ومولانا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. First of all, I would like to thank the Comorian Student Association for inviting me for such a beautiful meeting and discussion. And thank you for Dr. Asad, the chairman of the students, and my former students who have been teaching, a couple of them in engineering, and many others that I know of the Comorian students. Actually, the title that was given to me today is about time management in Ramadan and a balance between spirituality and work. So, if we want to put the main points here, the title has keywords. The title have keywords. So let's look at the keywords that the title has. So the keyword number one. The keyword number one is Ramadan. This is the keyword number one in the title. And then the other key word is time management. The other one is work. Spirituality. And another keyword, which is balance. So to cover the subject, we need to look at these keywords and how we can get all these keywords together. This is not a lecture, as I mentioned. This is more to share ideas and experience. So concerning Ramadan, I think all of you know. So this one we don't need to talk much about Ramadan, and it's an obligation for Muslims. And I think also the brother, the MC in the beginning, and also the ayat recited is referring to the importance of this one. So this one, I think we know. This one is we know. I will start by another key point, which is very important and fundamental, not only in Ramadan, but actually in the whole Islamic rules, principles, and a core in Islam as a religion, actually. This important word is balance. This important word is balance. Balance in Arabic, توازن أو ميزان. Also, توازن أو ميزان. This is in Arabic. And it's interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this word and its similar meanings in the Quran in several places. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described that He created everything biqadar. Biqadar means in a certain balance, composition. A certain balance, composition. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned وَأَنزَلَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ وَالْمِيزَانِ. Then also the word mizan has been mentioned in conjunction with al-kitab in few places in the Quran, which is very interesting. So what the scholar said about this one, he said actually the mizan, of course most of the scholars said the mizan mentioned in the Quran, the balance mentioned in the Quran is al-adl. But a more detailed insight is actually the book itself is the mizan also. The book itself is the mizan. So how we can balance our life is by reading properly how the Quran is telling us what to do, what not to do, how to do things. Then this will be the balance that we need to go for. This balance can be also in one alternative expression, famous alternative expression in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described this ummah as كَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Wasat means somewhere in the... Do you hear me without the thing? Wasatan means something not in the middle, actually, it's not literally in the middle, but something balancing, actually. Wasatan, something balancing. Not literal meaning of in the middle, but something which between two extremes. Wasat means between two extremes. So if we, let's say, if we want to make a scale, for example, so a scale either have this position, or this.
We are recording.
Okay. So, or usually when we have a balance or a scale, then these are the positions that the scale will go for. If you look at usually any court in any place, like Morris in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in Malaysia, and United States, you'll find always this balance like this, in the middle, but not like this, not like this. These are the two extremes. These are the two extremes. And this is what Islam means by كَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Wasata means balancing. So the idea of balancing actually is a core idea, fundamental idea in Islam. The idea of balancing is a fundamental idea in Islam. So we are not talking here about Ramadan only, we are talking about all our life. We are talking about all our life. And this is also very clear in many of the things that mentioned in the Quran. The dua that we all sometimes recite after prayers, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us a reward in this dunya and a reward in the hereafter. الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. So this is a balance. This is a balance. So you have some work to do in this dunya, and you have also some things you are looking for in the akhirah. So the idea of balance is a fundamental idea in Islam. How we can try to educate ourselves on it, how we try to train ourselves to it. One of the best training school for balancing is Ramadan. One of the best training school for balancing is Ramadan. Why? Because Ramadan has features that doesn't exist in any other month. So this is why it is a very good training ground, very good preparation. Training ground. What are these two main features in Ramadan? These are the two main features. Number one, we start to have non-regular activity. What do you mean by non-regular activity? Are we fasting every day? We are not fasting every day. We are eating every day, like we are eating now. But Ramadan, we start to have non-regular activity. So means you start to do something that you don't do the rest of the year. You don't do the rest of the year. And this, what you don't do the rest of the year is, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't, if you're married, you don't approach your wife until from dawn to Maghrib, to the sunset. So this is a non-regular activity. This is a non-regular activity. And any non-regular activity in any human being community will usually disturb your schedule. Will disturb your schedule. I will come back to this. The other feature of this month is it is free from external influences. What do we mean by free from external influences? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and when this month will come, that the shayateen will be chained. So we know that the shaitan, or whatever shayateen, will be from the jinn, not from the ins. Ins are free, they are working. But from jinn, they are chained. Chained means, I always say, if you do something wrong in Ramadan, this is a true mirror of yourself. Why? Because you cannot put this on the shoulder of shaitan. Shaitan is not anymore in business. He's taking a holiday during Ramadan. So if you do something wrong during Ramadan, this is you, not anybody else. Not anybody else. So we are free from external influences. It's all our own business, our own responsibility, which will make life easier for many people. Will make life easier for many people. So if you follow properly, it means you can do things that you might not be able to do outside Ramadan. This is why we find ourselves during Ramadan always very interested in going for prayers and making zikr, reciting Quran, and all this type of activity that we usually do. We feel that we are motivated to do this. We are motivated. So these are the two features in Ramadan that make it, and of course there are many other features, but these are the main ones, that will make it a very good training ground for balancing. I have an irregular activity that will disturb my life a little bit, so I need to adjust, readjust during Ramadan. Anybody heard that the Prophet ﷺ told us during Ramadan you go and sleep so you can rest? Anybody heard that the Prophet ﷺ said something like that? No? It was mentioned in the Quran that during Ramadan, because you are tired, please go and don't do what? Nothing. So life goes normal. Life goes normal. So what I need to do is I need to manage my life. I need to manage my life in a different way during this month. I need to manage my life in a different way during this month. The interesting point is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us a kind of a bit of a disturbing activity for our regular life, He is helping us to train ourselves to accommodate, adapt to any disturbing circumstances. And I'm still carrying out my work. So you come to work, you still study. Some of you will have exams even during Ramadan, so you have to study, you have to continue going to classes. You cannot just sleep and you say, I'm fasting. Nobody can say so. And at the same time, also you need to pay, you need to do your obligations, you need to carry out your fasting, and then you need to arrange yourself for sahur and other things. So Ramadan is a very good training ground for this balancing. Ramadan is a very good training ground for this balancing, because I need to readjust again. Okay, coming to the third key point here, time management. Time management. Can anybody tell me how you manage your time? Some of you are students, some of you are working, some of you might be also raising children. So how you can manage your life? How you can manage your time? What does it mean, the word time management for you? What does it mean, the word time management for you? Okay, good. You said schedule, follow. Any other opinion of time management?
I think it's meant to range the works by priority and less priority.
Okay, so to look at priorities and less priorities. Okay, any other thing? Any other? When I say time management, what comes to mind?
Yeah, is setting daily tasks in order, one after one, that you need to achieve daily, or in a particular day.
Okay. Any other opinion of time management? Okay, this is to some extent true. When we hear time management, usually we will, what will come to our mind is schedule, or tasks, and the prioritization, the issue of making priorities, أولويات. Another issue I will add to it is also what is important and what is urgent. In fact, if we, the old way where people were trying to do time management, if you read the old books about time management, everybody will talk about the calendar, you need to buy this calendar, you need to put the tasks, and then you follow up your tasks and other things. This is the old way actually of doing time management. This one, now people go beyond this level. Now people go beyond this level. What does it mean beyond this level? It has been proven that strict, rigid schedules are not really time management. Why? Because you are forcing yourself on something that might be flexible. Might be flexible. So you set certain tasks and you say, okay, I need to follow this one. Like sometimes students will say, I will study half an hour for this subject, and maybe 1 hour for this subject, and then 2 hours for this subject. But when you start studying it, you will discover that maybe the one that you assigned half an hour might need 2 hours. And the one you assigned 1 hour might need half an hour. So some interesting students would say, no, I will follow my schedule. You cannot follow your schedule here. You need to have flexibility, a room for change. So this is why people move to many other ideas related to this. And there is the famous matrix that has been presented by many people. One of them is, of course, the famous Stephen Covey, when he classified the works that we do, into 4 quarters. The works that we do into 4 quarters. The first quarter is important plus urgent. Second quarter, important, not urgent. And the other one is not important, but urgent. Here, not important and not urgent. This is a very famous matrix. People talked about it in management, and this idea actually changed the way we look at time management. This idea changes our way of looking at time management. So the schedule here is not like before. It's not my calendar. Time management is not my calendar. It's actually how I set my priorities. How I set my priorities. So to set your priorities, and people said, according to many, not only, we are not talking only about Ramadan, we are talking about people working in CEOs and also big companies, my students, everybody. They said that most of the people will spend almost 80% of their time in things which are not important but urgent. Not important but urgent, which is very unfortunate. So you imagine you spend 1 year, 1 year of your life, 80% of this year, which is 9 months almost, you spend it in things which are not important. So if you classify your life, you live maybe for 60, 70, let's say average 60 years old, then 60 years old, about 50 years you spend your life in doing things which are not important. Not important. And the question is, the important question is, who can decide the important and who can decide the urgent? This is a fundamental question. If we come to Ramadan, I'll just move from here to Ramadan. What is important in Ramadan? What are the important tasks? Ibadah, okay, good. Sabr. Okay. Of course, my ibadah means the objective of being close to Allah. Yes, this is the ultimate goal. What else important in Ramadan? Anything else? Questions? Okay, good.
Just fasting and make sure that your fast is very,
No, fasting is an obligation. This one is unnegotiable, I think. We are not negotiating. Otherwise, there's no Ramadan. There's no Ramadan. So say fasting and prayers, these are unnegotiable issues. So this is, but I'm saying about what extra should. Okay, if somebody doing work, how many of you working? How many of you are working? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Almost four people working. If you stop doing the job you are doing in Ramadan, what kind of disturbance will happen?
I won't get paid.
No, there's a more important issue here. More important issue that other people's business will stop. So this is why we say, and this is why in Islam we have 2 types of ibadah. One ibadah is what people call عبادة يعني قصيرة على الشخص وعبادة متعدية means عبادة that is only personal. So prayers is personal. When you pray, you are not getting benefit, passing benefit to anybody actually. It's for you only. It's for you. You pray for yourself. You're not praying for your kid, you're not praying for your husband. So it's for you, not for your parents. Fasting is also for yourself. Fasting is for yourself. It's not going beyond this level. But zakat is different. Zakat is beyond you. Ibadatul muta'addiyah, beyond you. Something you give benefit to others. Doing your work right and properly, whether in Ramadan or outside Ramadan, put aside the payment. The payment, you should take it if you do your work. If you stop doing it, actually you are committing a sin because you will make other people's business not going smooth. Yeah, let's say I come in Ramadan and say, I will not teach the student. Thank you very much. I am tired. I want to dedicate the month for ibadah, and I will not teach the students. The students will be happy for that. Of course. They will be lost. They will be lost. Or somebody working in a secretary company or whatever, and then he said, okay, I will not sign any paperwork during this month. Means you are accumulating tens, hundreds, and maybe thousands of people during this month. So, actually doing your work right and properly, you carry it properly, is one of the priorities in Ramadan as well. And it is part of your Islamic activity. It's part of your Islamic activity. So when we say ibadah, and this comes back to the idea of the word ibadah, because sometimes we restrict the word ibadah in just prayers, fasting, and zakah. And this is actually, these are the fundamentals, the foundations. These are unnegotiable. These are unnegotiable issues. But ibadah is much more wider. Ibadah is also to take care of your house. If you are married, if you are a husband or a wife, you take care of your house. It's part of your ibadah, probably. So this is part of your ibadah. So what is important in Ramadan is I need to carry out my regular activity, which will affect any other person. I need to carry it out properly. This might be work. This might be responsibility as a husband. Might be responsibility as a wife. Let's say the wife decided, okay, thank you, in Ramadan, I'm tired. So no food, nothing during the whole month. And you need to get a babysitter for the kids. Yeah, she's not carrying her responsibility now. and now she's not carrying that responsibility. So the important here are all the activities that will affect either other people or will affect me in a drastic way. Affect me in a drastic way if I don't pray. This is not Ramadan. This is not. If I don't fast, this is wrong. If I don't try to carry out my other obligation, religious obligation during Ramadan, this is wrong. So these are all important. These are all important. Any of them is urgent. In fact, if we plan them right, they will not be urgent. If we plan them right, it will not be urgent. Let me give an example of sometimes how we make things, and we are the people who make things urgent. I want to prepare for such a lecture, let's say, such a lecture. Then I start to talk to people, then after a while you said, okay, let's make it Saturday. And then we start to take action only yesterday, Friday. This lecture is important. It's one of your major activities, isn't so? But when I do the action just in a very short notice, in 1 day or 2 days, I make it urgent. But actually it wasn't urgent. If I prepare it one week ago, like you did prepare 1 week ago, or some people would prepare even 1 month ago, then there's nothing urgent here. Nothing urgent. So sometimes I make things urgent. I am the one who makes things urgent. A student who is not studying the whole year, enjoying his life, drinking tea with his colleagues, going outside, enjoying Kuala Lumpur life, and then just before the exam 1 week, he wants to study. He discovered that he doesn't understand anything. Now, it is important, studying the subject is important, but you make it urgent. It wasn't urgent. It wasn't. It wasn't urgent. Now you are making it urgent, because if you don't study, you fail. So you start to crash yourself, or what people call in English cramming. Crash yourself for 1 week, not sleeping and reading morning, afternoon, night, just to understand. So many cases, actually, for the important things, we make it urgent. But if we plan it right, then it will not be urgent. If we plan it right, it will not be urgent. But sometimes there's things that will pop up. Somebody is sick. You need to take him or take her to the hospital. This is different. This is a different case. Now it is an urgent issue, important and urgent issue. It came out. It's outside my control. It's outside my control. But many of the important things that we have still under our control. And for example, 2 days ago, one of the students, I met one of the students outside, and then he told me, Dr. Khan, I'm wondering how to take sahur so I can have my schedule right. Of course, it's an interesting question. Fine. But you might have two things. Either you'll sleep early, a little bit early, and then you wake up before Fajr, and then you continue the whole day. Or you take your sahur quite late, and you just wake up on Fajr time to pray, and then continue your day. So you have two options. And both options, it's you decide about them. But if you put everything together, then you will not have your sahur sometimes. You will just go to pray Fajr and you forget your sahur, or you're asleep, you stay at night. If you don't plan, it will become a very problematic situation. It will become a very problematic situation. This applies to all, not only Ramadan, it applies to our life. It applies to our life. Not urgent, not important. Many things are not urgent and not important. Many things. For example, somebody sends you a message, a very long message, and he wants you to reply to him. And then this message has nothing. It's not important. Nothing important. But you spend maybe half an hour trying to reply to this person. And you feel the urgency that you want to reply. But actually, this is not important. You can delay the reply because nothing urgent here. Nothing important. Maybe your friend is asking you about some details, what you're going to do, blah, 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 something like this. Right? This is nothing. But sometimes social media also, which is very important, social media creates a sense of urgency. Social media creates a sense of urgency. You want to always, you will pull your handphone and then you look into it, messages, messages. And if you don't receive messages for an hour, you feel depressed. So what are you doing now? You are creating an urgency for yourself. You are creating actually stress. You are creating a stress for yourself. So this is something we need to do. During Ramadan also, one of the things that it's a social, I would say, tradition in most of the Muslim countries and Muslim communities, is to invite people to your house and to invite you to others and blah, blah, blah. This is, in principle, is a good activity, because inviting people to break their fast in Ramadan in your house or with other group is very good. But when it becomes excessive, excessive means every day you are doing it. Now you are losing the month. And nobody said so. We have no report in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ that he was inviting people in Ramadan every day. Anybody can bring me any report about this? Nothing. Or people inviting him every day. There's no report like this in Ramadan. So we do it, but we need to balance it. Otherwise, you will lose your whole Ramadan just going to places to eat and waiting for people to come to a place to eat. And the more important issues, which is your important activities, personal activities, and also work, will be compromised. So sometimes we need also to look at what we feel it is a tradition, whether we see this tradition is Islamic or not. Yes, as I mentioned, it is Islamic to invite people to your house, but it cannot be extreme, it cannot be excessive. The opposite also, you will not accept everybody inviting you for breakfast in Ramadan. Otherwise, some people have a lot of wide network, then you will have the whole Ramadan just rushing by your car from a place to another place to another place. It's good to see people, but you are actually losing everything. You are losing the month. And this is why, for example, in i'tikaf, this is another issue in Ramadan also. One of the interesting things that I see usually when people come to masjid here or any other place, i'tikaf has been, I would say, abused. Because i'tikaf is not to have a social discussion. We see people in i'tikaf here, they are sitting together, chatting, checking the phone, checking the laptop, and maybe going out a little bit. This is not i'tikaf. This is not i'tikaf. The i'tikaf that we know from the Islamic rules and tradition, the person would come to the masjid, and even during the Prophet time, they would make a tent inside the masjid. He would make a tent, khayma, inside the masjid. And the person will be inside this tent, he will just go out to pray, and then he will come back to his tent. Means he is isolating himself completely. But not going inside the tent and checking the emails, no. He will do something more important. So, the idea of i'tikaf actually is a complete isolation. Complete isolation from all distractions. Why? Because you need some time to yourself. All of us need some time for ourselves. I need to reevaluate what I have been doing. I need to reevaluate my life. I need to evaluate where I'm going, what I'm doing. So Islam gave us this opportunity once a year by saying you make i'tikaf even one night, fine, okay, just one night. But it needs to be proper. But now i'tikaf became a social activity. You go to have your friends, and actually distraction continues. So we change the event from being something useful sometimes to be something unproductive. So, as a principle, time management is not a schedule, is not a list of tasks, actually. It's more like you decide what is important in your life, what is urgent, and how you classify this activity, and you focus on the important issues. Less important, of course, we do less important things, but they need to come next, not on the top list. So these things are very important. For example, people who have a workaholic, let's say. All of us were working too much. But I need to pay some time to my family. Definitely. If you are not married, you need to pay some time for your parents. If they are with you. It cannot be just you call your parents, how are you, Baba, how are you, Mama, you're okay, Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, thank you. No, it's not time for the family. And work, we talked about work. We talked about work. The last key word here is spirituality. What do we understand by spirituality? What do we understand by spirituality?
It's value.
Okay, to control your spirit.
It's kind of values.
Value. Okay.
Related to your heart.
Related to your heart. Okay. Any other idea about spirituality?
Increasing your finance. Increasing your finance through the activities and rituals.
Okay, very good. Actually, I would say something might be a bit not regular. The word spirituality as a word does not exist in Islam. Even when you translate it into Arabic, we say ruhaniya. This word practically doesn't exist in the Arabic language, in the old Arabic language. It doesn't exist. So, when people say spirituality, it's more a modern term. Not very modern, of course, it's maybe 300 years ago or something like this. It's more like the part of the activity that it will be your relation with God or something like that, so relation with yourself. So the word spirituality as a concept doesn't exist in Islam. And the question why it doesn't exist in Islam? That is the most important question. It doesn't exist in Islam in origin because Islam looked at the human being as a whole system. It will not divide you. The Western philosophy usually it will divide you. Say you have rational, aql, you have spirit, spirituality, you have heart, you have blah blah blah, and then you start to be divided. But Islam doesn't look at it like this. It's saying everything is helping in everything. Everything is helping in everything. How many of you performed Umrah or Hajj? Anybody performed Umrah or Hajj? Okay. The rest, at least, do you know the rituals of or Hajj? There's a very interesting observation. We need to look into it. That whether in Umrah or Hajj, while you are moving between Safa and Marwa, these things with people hurrying, a little bit rushing in modern way, you are reading things, you are reciting things, you are not just rushing like doing nothing. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to say zikr while we are running? Anybody thought of it? Usually people will say, zikr, you need to sit down, stand still, and you need to focus, no distraction, and then you have your sibha or you have your whatever, and then you start to focus and do it. But Islam changing this idea. You are running and you are making zikr. In one of the fundamental pillars of Islam. You are moving and you are making zikr. So the idea of this divisions doesn't exist. So all activities deliver to each other. You do your work and you are making zikr, maybe not necessarily by your planning, but just here. You are going into the transportation. Sometimes people will say, I go for a very long distance to my university or to my work, it will take 1 hour in the transport or 2 hours in the transport. And I don't know what to do. I said, there are a lot of things you can do during these 2 hours. If you like reading, you can read, of course. If you don't like reading, just if you have sibha in your pocket, you do something. But you need to have something to remind you. You need to have something to remind you. And this one doesn't need you to focus or to read to anything. You just say, astaghfirullah, whatever, la ilaha illallah. While you are just going for 2 hours or 3 hours. Very simple activity. And sometimes we are not really doing it. We're not really doing it. But the idea is Islam in itself looking at the human activity as a whole system. And looking at the human as a whole system. So all these activities, work, prayers, zikr, reading Quran, all of this are one circle. They are serving each other. So you cannot say this is spiritual and this is non-spiritual. In Islam we cannot say something like this. They are all spiritual if you do it right. They are all spiritual if you do it right. You want to get money, fine. It can be spiritual with your intention. You want to get money just to enjoy going to Switzerland and something like this, now this is materialistic. But you want to get money because you are supporting a family, you want to keep your dignity, you don't like to stretch your hand to others to ask them for money, now this is spiritual. Now this is spiritual. So all the activities we do can be spiritual. Whatever the activity is. Taking care of your kid, the woman at home, even that housewife, that she doesn't do any other work outside. Her everyday activity by taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, maybe cooking or all these type of things, can be spiritual with her intention. But if say, okay, I will I take care of the kids, and then I need you to pay me this amount of money, and then this is not spiritual anymore. It's not spiritual anymore. So the idea of spiritual, non-spiritual, does not exist in Islam. It's actually everything is spiritual if we have the proper intention. So during Ramadan, you are working, you are getting reward. You are studying, you are getting reward. You are praying, you are getting reward. You are reading Quran, you are getting reward. So all these activities, you are cooking for some visitors coming to your house. You are getting reward. You just went outside to buy stuff that will serve people coming to your house. You are getting reward. But the most important attention. Most important attention. So I think by this we covered the main 5 keywords in this title. Actually, too much talking, people forget what we're saying. So I usually don't like to talk very long. But the main idea that we need to understand is Ramadan is a very good training ground, school, that will help us to learn how to balance our activity, and how to balance our life. Ramadan has 2 main features that will help us later to accommodate. And the last point I want to point here is there is for each ibadah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a fruit of this ibadah. ثمرة العبادة. ثمرة العبادة. Like when we talk about صيام, يا الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كتب عليكم من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Here it's the ثمرة, the fruit of ibadah. So if I fast Ramadan and I don't have taqwa after this, thank you very much, there's something wrong in the system. The system here is not fasting, it's myself. I have something wrong. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about prayers and say, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indicating to us that this ibadah, salah, has a fruit. The fruit is, I will stop doing bad things. I will stop doing bad things. And if I'm doing bad things and start to pray, I will stop doing the bad things. If I'm not stopping the bad things, then there's something wrong. So if the fruit of the ibadah I cannot see, I need to recheck myself. It means there's something wrong in me, something wrong in carrying out this ibadah. So the same, Ramadan. If I'm in Ramadan very close to Allah, and then just Eid day, I am half close to Allah, and then after this I'm not close anymore, then there's something wrong. You know. This Ramadan, I didn't get any benefit out of it. I didn't get any benefit out of Ramadan. So we need to look at the fruits of the ibadah, and I need to look into myself. And of course, there are many activities in Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ, I think most of us know this one. Of course, the prayers, recite the Quran. It's a good opportunity to cover the whole Quran, whether you understand or you don't understand, but you're just making a kind of a will for yourself every day, hizb or whatever. Then this you can cover the whole Quran in Ramadan. So all of this activity are possible, can be done. If you are traveling, you can do it in your transport. If you are just sitting doing nothing, you can just do it while you're sitting. So we do have time. Actually, we do have plenty of time. Sometimes, long time back, I used to tell myself, time is very tight. But I discover actually I have plenty of time. But the problem is sometimes I do mistakes. I will waste my time in things which are not urgent, I make it urgent. Not important, I waste a lot of time in it. I still face this problem after that. I'm trying to, this one is cannot be finalized. It's a continuous process. It's a continuous process. You need to recheck what is important, what's not important, what's urgent, what's not urgent. And then you can move to a better situation. I think by this, thank you very much. I hope I covered the main ideas in the topic that was given to me. And again, thank you for your invitation. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.